Yeah, well, I'm Dali Yang. I'm a professor of political science at the University of Chicago, and I have been here since 1992, so it's been a long time. Much more my coverage is really on China, but different aspects of it, and the political aspect certainly is very important because nothing is unpolitical in some ways, actually, society in China. But at the same time, I've been doing a lot of work related to issues of the restructuring of the Chinese state, the relations between the state and economy, and also society. Education, for example, is one of the areas that I have been looking at to some extent. And recently, we did this little book. I'm the co-author of this project on child and youth well-being in China. In fact, I've done and participated in a number of workshops that were held both on this campus and also at the University of Chicago Center in Beijing, where I was director for 6-7 years actually, and I was working with Professor Heckman and also Professor Gary Becker, who is deceased now. So we were looking at various aspects of, for example, Chinese labor market and policies, and also, of course, education related to it. And I was quite inspired by some of the workshops, and as a result, I am part of a team that we looked at, in particular, using longitudinal surveys of the Chinese population, Chinese families. So we did the portion especially on the child and really youth well-being, really looking at various aspects of their development and the conditions they are in economically, socially, how do they do in school and also in education, and so on. So this has been an extremely important area. Part of the reason is very simple. I mean, we want to study any society, we want to know about the future generation. And the children and the youth are the future of any country, how they are being treated, how they are developing, how they are functioning, are important, and certainly not only understanding the present, but really in looking at the labor force of the future. Well, in fact, yeah, the book on child and youth well-being is one of the projects that I have been following. In fact, I have been doing quite a bit of work on the making or remaking of the Chinese state. One of the big areas is in fact, the development of the regulatory institutions in China. As you know, there have been many problems in China related to food, drug safety, quality issues, for example, the melamine milk formula scandal. There have been many other issues as well. Blood safety is another area. So I have looked at actually many of the cases, but I'm also trying to develop a bigger project out of that into the risk and governance in China. In connection with it is really the environment. I lead actually an internship program with undergrads. It started as actually a project on environmental governance, trying to do a little bit more. In fact, at this point, I'm revising a small paper on waste treatment plants, but in particular incineration plants in China, which is done actually with one of the former undergrads at the University of Chicago. So it's very exciting for me to have the opportunity to work with students, both at the undergrad level and also at the graduate level. And as a result, actually, I expand my own horizons as well. Whether it's environmental governance or governance in general. And of course, whatever happens, very often China is learning from experiences in the United States. So I actually follow, and as an American citizen as well, I'm extremely interested in participating in what's happening here. But at the same time, it allows me to draw on the American experience in particular in trying to understand what's happening in China. And at the same time, it's truly fundamental for us to understand what's going on, because what happens in China has an impact globally, including in the United States, as you know, at this moment.